Good afternoon. It is now 1:09. The board has completed our executive session. And we are now going into our public session of this special meeting to discuss, deliberate, and decide who we would like to invite to interview for the general manager position. We have Lee Taylor here with us from NRECA. She's our consultant on this process, and she may weigh in on logistics or other things, but who would like to kick it off?
Maybe Lee wants to set some guidelines, or no?
Well, I guess, so from my perspective, provide some more boundaries. Our goal is to invite between 3 and 5 applicants to come and interview. Our goal is to endeavor to keep their identities confidential so that we don't use names, we don't use employers, we don't use states or municipalities where they're from. However, I think it is completely appropriate to talk in general terms about why we think a particular candidate would be a good fit for Jefferson PED, such as their technical background in engineering, their time in utilities, whatever specifically calls us to think of them as a good candidate. I think it's good to say that, but we just don't want to use identifying information.
So and the intention is each commissioner votes for their 4 candidates they would like to learn more about. But I'm unclear about how y'all gonna do that, or is it just?
We can just go around the table and whoever wants to go first and say, I liked number 1, 3, 5, and 7.
Okay.
However, and then I think if we have agreement, if we just did that for brevity, if we said, these are the 4 I'd like, and if we all agree on a number, we're done. We got that one, and then we just move on to the others where we don't have agreement, and then we talk about, well, here's why I think this person is most appropriate, and we see if we can get to consensus on those 3 to 5 people. Does that sound okay to the other commissioners? Okay, heads are nodding. Who would like to go first?
Well, I guess I can go first. I mean, I evaluated and I came up with 4 candidates I thought really could fit in and meet, most of the criteria we set forth, out into the public is what we were looking for to apply for the position. And after, reviewing, I think that, I've got 4 that I would be comfortable with, finding more out about and having them, look more at us. So, and if you want those numbers,
Yeah, please list the numbers.
it's 3, 14, 6, and 12 are the numbers of those candidates.
Okay.
So I'll just start with the basic there and we can go from there. If there's
Yeah.
any disagreement, then we can start to hash
Yeah,
out what
let
the
me go
disagreements may
which
be.
mines are. So I agree with you on. Amazingly enough, I am in total agreement. Those are my 4. So, but this is not, it's not, in my mind, this is not
This isn't a ranking, this is,
majority
yeah.
Right.
based thing. We should try and get to consensus. So if we have a difference, we should talk through.
Yeah.
Why, because we might be missing something that the others see, but those were my 4, 3, 14, 6, and 12. Not in any particular order.
And that was after about 60 hours counting today
Well,
of review.
And the materials were very helpful. It's just felt, for those outside the processes, it's felt like a very thorough process. And these candidates seem to be exceptionally well qualified, from my opinion. And that's 4 completely different numbers. We're gonna have a lot of work to do.
No. Agree on 3.
Okay,
I wanted to add 5,
okay,
agree on 6.
okay,
Agree on 14.
okay, we just have 1 then.
Um,
2 to talk through.
Not so sure about 12.
Okay,
okay, so I'm clear. Can you with 3, 5, 6, and 14?
yes,
Yes,
Okay, cool.
so we have 12 and 5 to further discuss. You go back to 5. So. I'd be interested, Ken, in, you know, your thoughts on 5 versus 12. For me, some of the notes I had on number 5 is I've got most of his experience was engineer, project manager, oversaw power plant upgrades. He's a power supply officer, and let's see, it's an engineer. You know, I didn't really have any negative, on the budget side, I wasn't sure how involved he was with budgeting, and I guess I didn't, and then 12. So for me, 12 was someone who I saw as rose up through a pretty sophisticated organization that we're familiar with in the Northwest. It's also a public power entity, and just really seeing, I guess the difference that I saw in those two candidates was with candidate 12, I'm just assuming this person is really good at managing people as well as the technical issues that he has faced in these different roles for this large, you know, Washington-based public utility, I shouldn't say state, but.
No.
And that because he's moved up and has been there over quite a few years. Wait a minute, I'm getting these confused now. Sorry, I got.
I'm just watching to make sure you're not showing any names on the screen. So, so far you're good.
Yeah, be careful.
I just don't want you to move.
Well, be careful. So I had two of the candidates confused. Number 12, is a CEO compared to number 5 is not. And number 12, actually the size of their utility, even though it's spread out in a little different way than ours, has about the same number of customers, about 20,000 customers.
That's number 12.
Yeah, I got it right. I looked at. On the utility. It's a similar size utility. It provides utility services to its customers.
Okay. Okay.
But anyway, I saw number 12 as having more management experience with a utility like ours than number 5. For me, I didn't know. Anyway, I'll stop talking there.
Number 12 is not a utility. It's a different type of organization.
I'll have to look it up.
Similar to things that Jeff just mentioned, I'll give Jeff a chance to look up.
Go ahead, and we'll get our
For
facts.
me, the difference came down to a little bit was the management, you know, who they've overseen and, you know, the progression of how they got to where they are in their current positions. They're both engineers. I gave the tip of the hat to number 12 over number 5. Similar to Jeff, partly because of the management that they've, you know, experience that they've had. One might have a little bit more training than the other, so it kind of evens out a little bit. Ultimately, it came down to because of where we are in our utility with our capital improvement, the work plans, the water division, everything we have going. I like the engineering background of number 12 better than I did of that of number 5.
And I correct myself. So number 12 is the CEO for a wholesale power provider, not a utility. So I misspoke.
You say ultimately the difference came down to me, the engineering background, the path of how they got where they are, and the work that was done in that along that path. 12, I gave 12 a little more of a benefit of that.
So. We have what? 6 potential people.
5.
If we could add 5.
Sure.
So that would be another way to look at it. Would you
That's what
have,
I'm asking.
yeah, would you have opposition to including 12, and would we have opposition to including 5?
I wouldn't.
Okay,
Again, I'm looking at logistics and scheduling of what we already know about the conflicts that we have in the short period of time we have before the interviews have to happen. I'm thinking 4 is better than 5. As far now numbers, 4 candidates versus 5
5 candidates
candidates.
total. So we.
5 candidates is gonna
And
complicate
and I
things.
think since we have everybody here, we should talk through as much of this as we can. So because the idea is that Lee is gonna be making phone calls this afternoon. So we know that number 12 had some logistical and time scheduling challenges.
Yes.
We did talk about that with Lee, so we kind of
Yes.
gave her a game plan for that. Do we know anything about candidate 5?
No
And
conflicts.
no
But,
conflicts.
but some of the other candidates we did mention, there were some time things with them, maybe not as set stone that it can or can't.
So.
But they're to
so one-
schedule everybody in a way that's gonna work. I'm
Right,
sure.
right. So anyway, I'm just gonna weigh in here, try and moderate this a little bit. So if we left this meeting with marching orders to Lee to invite 5 candidates to interview for the position, she would then try and fit them all into those
Right,
holes.
right.
And if we have significant problems with the schedule, we can do this offline. We can have Lee reach out to me and or, Melanie, whoever. And then we can work it, because we do this all the time with setting up special meetings and so forth, and we can circle back to the other commissioners and see if we can make it work. But we can literally just stop there and say, we'd like to interview 5 candidates. And we can work the rest out offline. And we'll find out from Lee how those. That's our first step. Literally, you start with, hey, we would like to offer you an interview, and somebody might say, nope. Back on the job.
That's true.
So the sooner we get to that, so thoughts.
As long as our logistics and schedule stay the same, I'm fine with 5. If
Right.
it's gonna push us into changing the schedule and logistics, then I'm probably gonna
And
ask.
then
So,
date wise, we were trying to finish by that Monday,
Right.
right? And make a decision on
We
Monday.
moved to 5, we either have to do one of the interviews on Saturday. Or we go to Tuesday morning to
I've,
finish the last.
I've already
one.
committed to those 3 or 4 days. I'm 24/7 available, so I'm not worried about it. It's up to you gentlemen to decide if the
So-
scheduling's gonna work for
So
you.
right now, let's just talk through it real quick. So right now, we have reception happening for all the candidates happening on the 28th. Do we feel like we could fit in 5 reception people? Okay, so the 28th isn't an issue. The 29th, right now, we have it set up for 2 interviews, each 3 hours long, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, and then we had a slot for.
I know you were worried about burnout, so.
I know, it's a real thing, you want me sharp, not fuzzy. Then one interview on the morning of Monday the 30th, and then we go into deliberations in the afternoon,
We have 2 interviews on Monday the 30th.
so that's 4, okay.
And they're 3-hour interviews plus some time
Yes.
thrown in
Yeah.
for spacing.
So then,
So we can do all of the receptions on Saturday and add an interview after that, so we move the receptions earlier and do an interview in the afternoon. Or we do an interview on Tuesday.
it's either the beginning. or
I'm
the
good,
end.
you people decide.
Well, how do we feel about, so that the option has been presented, having one of the candidates interview on.
I would like to get it done a little bit sooner rather than later, so
If
I'm
we-
fine with an interview
If we,
on earlier on Saturday,
so
pre-reception.
move the pre-reception.
We would do the receptions, would be more like breakfasty receptions, and then take a break and then do an interview.
We wanna have them at the reception before the interview.
Yeah,
So we move the
Fine.
reception up.
Not a problem.
So you'll be doing 2 back-to-back
It's
interviews,
it's a-
right? And then a 5th interview?
No, reception in the morning, 1 interview in the afternoon on Saturday,
Okay,
and then the rest of the schedule stays unchanged.
Mhm.
okay.
right.
So the nice thing about that is we're giving you another slot to
Mhm.
slide someone in. Now we've got a Saturday slot, so if we're having difficulty lining people up,
Right.
they can choose Saturday, Sunday, or Monday.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a long weekend for us. We're gonna get sick of each other, but. Cool. All right,
Does that work for everyone?
yeah,
Oh, good, okay.
Yep.
so, we have consensus on the 5 applicants to invite to interviews. We have consensus on the desired schedule. If anything arises that doesn't work, I guess either way, confirm with us
Uh,
that it works, and if there's any changes that need to be made, let me know and we'll work through that in ASAP.
Okay,
I think we're done.
I think we're done.
So, see, we got
I was
done,
looking forward to spending all day here.
we got done fast, so, and that was the material, were very good, and you did a good job of leading us through them. Okay, it is now 1:24. The board has completed our business. And we're gonna have interviews at the end of June. Yeah, we go from there. Everybody. And thanks for traveling across the country, Lee.
Absolutely, oh, halfway.
Halfway.
Meeting adjourned.
Meeting is adjourned.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye bye.
Thanks, Candy.
And thanks, Kevin, for stopping your landscaping activities.
Yes.
Joining us. Truly shows the varied responsibilities of a general manager. And the commitment required.
Okay, Melanie, I'm gonna stop the recording.
Yeah, you should definitely
Okay,
go.
sounds good.
Well, I did a little shopping yesterday.